Hi, we're in the next part, so please go check out the previous part to gauge your bearings. I was telling a story, guys. Not a story, but I was giving you my rapture dream. It was literally a rapture dream, but it ended up in a rapture. Mara, I'm just going to help you guys understand what events ran up to that. Here it is that I was landing in Botswana, and the feeling of foreboding was there, etc. I gave that context in the previous part, so please go gauge it. And then I saw this dude that I was supposed to marry, so basically my fiance. And for the first time when I had landed in a different country altogether, in Botswana, did I then sense him? Did I discern the spirits that he was carrying? And I was, like I said, in this house that I didn't want to be in, representing an environment that I shouldn't be in, but I'm settling for. And also I was thrown to it by persecution from my own country. And then when I get there, the man who is mine, instead of welcoming me into his land, being the first one to basically get me at the door, he was in the house against a wall, and I saw through the walls. So essentially God is showing me my spiritual gifting. It's almost as if though I get there and I start to dream and I start to see everything he's been doing to me, because all along there was a cloak, a veil, a blindness, and the blindness was due to likely my desperation to get out of the sorrow, and I allowed myself to just take whatever was coming my way. But once I was in his environment, the entities, the darkness that was in him started to just ooze, and it was so thick that I was able to see right through the walls of the house to the room that he was in, and it looked like the room of that dude that I made out with when I was still a teenager. But he wasn't my first choice. I didn't want him. I wanted his friend, and he was looking like a black horse. Every time I see a black horse in my dream, it speaks of death. It is something that is impending death. Essentially, if I ended up married to this guy, it would mean the end of me. And in and of himself, he was dead. Like, he was dead. Long story short, no salvation, no Christ, no redemption in him. And yet I got to Botswana. I got to a point where I was in a new country about to marry a man that proposed to me. I went all the way that far only to find out that this guy's not even born again. He was shrouded with death and compromise. And I didn't even have strong feelings for him, like the ones that you would have for a man that you would allow to be your husband. Yet I was in Botswana now. The level of sorcery that it would take for a man to get a woman that consecrated to Jesus, that duped, to a point of landing in a new country is astronomical. I told you guys that the strategy of the devil is to marry me off to a dark man. And this dude would have been such a smooth criminal that he would have gotten me all the way to the point of getting to his country so we can get married. He was looking like a black horse in this compromised house, and like I said, he had the emulating energy of that dude that I made out with when I actually wanted to be with some other guy. So yeah, God was basically showing, yeah, okay, ne? As soon as I get, that was a feeling of foreboding, and that was what I saw inside this house, ne? With this dude. As soon as I saw him, first of all, Nikiporwa, I was annoyed by the fact that, why have you not received me to yourself? Why didn't you come and fetch me at the door? It's almost as if though he had a cloud of arrogance about him. He had me escorted and moved around the environment through his family members and his friends to get to him. He wanted to create some kind of prestige about himself, such that, you know, like being a king, and then you go and you ask for a woman, you fetch for a concubine. Like, you know, that level of arrogance where a man is like, fetch me Abigail, and then like his soldiers, his men, his like general comes at your door on some, the king is asking for you. Pretty much like similar to what happened with Bathsheba in the Bible. I don't think David went directly to where Bathsheba was at. He was a king. He likely fetched for her. He sent for her. He sent for her. And so the king's men were probably like, you come with us. Come with us. I was escorted and carried around by his entourage, like family members, a sister of his that I understood to be his sister, and some male friends of his. And they were gonna usher me into his presence like he was some kind of a king. He wore that kind of pomp. It reeked of David and Bathsheba. It reeked of he's stolen a woman from some other man. It reeked of that, and that added to my feeling of foreboding in this dream about the man I'm about to marry. First of all, I saw through the walls. I saw him being dark, looking like a horse, and a compromise that I would be entering into. And on top of that, he wasn't humble enough to receive me to himself personally, to fetch me and be like, welcome to Botswana, I can't wait to marry you. He did not receive me warmly himself. He sent for me, and I could, like, that got to me, because I have a big thing about intimacy, and that for me was not intimate. It was not loving. It was not close. He wanted to exalt himself. He wanted me to view him in that capacity, like he was a king that sends for women. And so therefore I just need to accept, like, that I'm marrying into some kind of royalty. He wore that pomp. No humility, even in the slightest. But I did not sense this until I got there. And as soon as I arrived, I immediately wanted to go back home. I literally changed my mind on the spot. I knew that I had wasted his money. He had paid for a flight ticket to get me there. He had paid for all of the admin that would be needed in order to get a woman to be able to move to his country. He would have had to speak to the tanamount of a home affairs of his own country to bring me in for the purpose of getting married and not just a holiday, a vacation. He would have had to pay for my passport and all these things. And as soon as I arrived in Botswana and I saw what I saw in the spirit, I wanted to go home, but I felt guilty and uncomfortable that I had essentially wasted his money. I felt uneasy about it, and I was also scared. Like the dark thing that I saw him as soon as I arrived, I got scared of it. That this man is dark, somehow I can tell. What if I tell him I want to go back home to South Africa, I don't want to marry you anymore? I changed my mind. What if he just leaves me stranded in Botswana with nowhere to look, nowhere to go, nothing, like I'm in a different country and just angshi and leave me to the dogs, leave me to the sharks to go and be prostituted, trafficked. I got scared that he would not traffic me, sorry, but leave me to just, end up just lost in Botswana. And with that fear in me, I nonetheless, I get it, he didn't want to talk to me directly. He didn't come directly to me. He had middlemen. He had an entourage of human beings that were helping his thing along. Something tells me that this man might likely be very wealthy. I could say that, but he sent for me. He literally sent for me instead of meeting me directly go airport thing, and I felt annoyed by that. Anyway, whatever. I ended up then telling his sister. There was a woman there that was his sister. And the sister, I can't say that the sister was born again. But the sister, as soon as I told her, I don't want to marry your brother, something in her accepted it. Something in her was compassionate. Almost as if though she knew what her brother was. She knew her brother was dark, and that how it is that I landed, she liked me, and his whole family liked me. But this one sister, when she looked at me, it's like she had pity on me. Because when you look at somebody you don't know what you're getting into. When you look at somebody like that, you have no clue what you're about to get yourself into. So when I told the sister that I want to go back to South Africa, I don't want to marry your brother, she didn't fight me. It's like she was relieved that I saw before I took the plunge. Yo, guys, next part.